Effect. I'm here today with my homeboy, my man Al, also known as the Filipino Flash.
Oh.
We
never discussed that, but I'll accept it. That's acceptable. We didn't come up with a street nickname for me yet.
That's your street nickname. In the streets you can have more than one nickname.
Well, I'm glad that nobody could see this.
You're limited at 3 though, alright? No more than 3 nicknames. Alright, so we going in today. I know everyone sees it on the news. That's all everyone's talking about. It's the politics, the presidential debates, and the campaigns and all this stuff. I have a major problem with that little asshole Trump, but I'm starting to have a bigger problem with our own people. And I have to say that because I'm trying to understand, and I don't want to make this just straight up a race thing, because some of it is race, but it's also class. And I think that people miss that point. But the biggest thing for me is, with all the racial things that he has said and everything, and now you have the whole incident that just happened at his last campaign event. One of the people from his staff sucker punched or elbowed one of the protesters there. And he did it on some sucker shit. Came out of nowhere.
Well, I didn't buy the paper today, but I was on the train. And I was doing something that I would hate if somebody did this to me. I was reading over his shoulder his newspaper. If someone did that to me, I'd have to elbow them.
Yeah,
and I was doing it to this guy, but it was so interesting. You know what it was, Jay? It was talking about how Trump says that if he doesn't get nominated for the Republican Party, there will be riots. If you're reading the paper, like, this is not news to you. This was this morning's headline. That it's almost like he's inciting a riot. Like, it's almost like, if you don't nominate me, I'm going to incite a riot. And he goes, it's going to be really bad. Reading over the guy's shoulder, I couldn't read the small print. That's something to be afraid of.
I feel like everything you just said right now just goes right into one of the things I want to talk about, which was, I'm starting to feel like racist shit is just not being even hidden no more. Because if you see some of the stuff that goes on in some of his events and some of his supporters, things that they say or do, it's hard not to say that's not racist. But when he goes to a whole standpoint of even saying that he is willing to pay for someone's legal fees behind some dumb shit they did at the event, that's crazy. The whole Mexico thing, all of that. But I honestly feel like he's creating almost a uprise of hate, man.
See, I'm not changing the subject. This is going on along the line. Well, first of all, I would like to say is, like, I asked Jay before we started, are there any rules? We're talking politics. He's been asking me to do this since Bush was president. We've been trying to do this. We're talking about microphones and this and that, and now here we are. We're finally doing it. And I don't know. It's like, I was talking with somebody at work about this who happens to be black. I guess one of the rules is we're not talking about where we work. I was talking with somebody at work who happens to be black, and I said, I'm no Trump supporter. I want to make that clear, But Ben Carson has endorsed Trump, who's a black man and originally a Republican opponent of Trump. He endorsed him, and this black person said that Ben is racist. So it's almost like reverse racism, like racism towards yourself, like hate. It's almost like self-hatred.
That type of shit happens a lot, though, right? It's not talked about. Yeah. Like, people don't. That's not an open, something that's always open for conversation. How people are like that. It's not that it isn't mentioned, but it's not open for conversation. It's easy for someone to open a conversation about black and white, black and Spanish, Spanish and white, opposed to them talking about people from their own race who actually feel a way about their own race. But now you bring up the Ben Carson thing. What's a little more interesting than that is, he comes from Detroit. He comes from a poor neighborhood. He comes from a poor upbringing.
Is that his name, Ben Carson? Did I get it right?
Dr. Ben Carson. He himself comes from Detroit, and Detroit right now is suffering. And that's just being honest. That's not to offend anybody, but Detroit for the last few years has been suffering in all kind of ways. But someone coming from where he come from, it's hard for me to believe that he would just endorse him if he wasn't getting something out of it.
Oh, I thought about that too. Like, one thing that you could think about in that is, what could he be getting out of this? Yeah. Trump, so he says, has deep pockets. He might be paying him for his endorsement. Another thing is, maybe he has faith that he's going to ascend to the presidency. When he ascends to the presidency, he promises him a job in the cabinet, maybe. Maybe he'll be the Surgeon General. Who knows? One thing that the doctor said was that it was just politics. I think that sometimes Trump crosses the line into it being personal, and there's, I know that certain things are said in politics, but then certain things are said personally, and I think that for him to turn around, forgive him, shows a weak personality in my point of view.
I'm with you on that. These same people he's attacking is the people who are your people, and where you come from your upbringing. I looked into a few things about Dr. Ben Carson, and one of the things is, if you really break it down, like, he really comes from a hood environment, or what will be the so-called hood upbringing. And when I say that is, he moved around a little bit into poor neighborhoods. Boston, Detroit, there was another one. Forgive me for not remembering right now. He's a product of a single parent home. Grew up poor. His family, they used to get clothes from like Goodwill and Salvation Army. His mother worked multiple jobs, and his father, but I know his supposedly either left because he had another family, or he left to pursue that kind of thing, like to be, to move on with his life.
Well, I hear what you're saying. You're saying that he knows the hardship of the people who are being oppressed.
Yeah.
But you know what I think his message is? I think his message is that you can rise above this type of oppression. You send it to becoming a doctor, a highly rated, famous physician, from humble upbringing. And I think that's his message.
But that's his personal message. That don't got shit to do with you endorsing someone who's flat out putting the middle finger up at everybody.
Well, it's funny because I felt like he even put the middle finger up at him personally.
Yeah.
Not just at everybody, but him personally. Because it's one thing to flash the middle finger to everybody, and it's another thing to look somebody in the eye and give him the middle finger.
Yeah,
which I think Trump did to the doctor.
One of the main reasons why I really want to speak with you on this is because you're the one who enlightened me on the fact that he disrespected him directly. Although it was funny in the way that he did it
with the belt, and the knife,
like that was. It don't get no direct than that. Like, what else you need? You need him to walk up and slap the shit out you? Like, he pretty much did that.
If anybody's wondering what we're talking about, go to YouTube and YouTube Donald Trump Ben Carson and the knife attack, and supposedly Ben Carson went to go stab somebody and was stopped by the belt buckle of the person of whom he stabbed, and Donald Trump was like teasing him, and the reason why Jay's laughing because it was really funny. Like, he was like, "We'll go over here, we'll go." Like, he did his whole Trump thing. He stepped off the podium to say that
did a whole demonstration.
Yeah, but basically saying that it's a bullshit story.
Yeah, listen, and
just crediting the story.
In the last few days, me looking up at things of Ben Carson. Well, all right. First off, he's a neurologist, I believe. Let's just back it up for a second. Dr. Ben Carson is a neurologist. He's famous for his performance of separating conjoined twins. Some people call Siamese twins. So he's been doing that for many years. His first surgery was successful, but the twins still had some brain damage. But it was still unheard of for him to do what he did. His next one wasn't so successful, and so on and so forth. So that's what he's known for. Coming up from Detroit, from the hood, actually worked his way into going to Yale and another college that I don't remember the name. So this is a guy who he has the story. To come from nothing, I come from shit. I don't come from nothing. And I made it happen. He has the story. He has the kind of story that will make you want to follow somebody. Because even more so, what is in any form of relationships of communication with your peers, so to speak, the best of it, and we can even say that in the conversation of me and you, where you really get cool with somebody or really want to be around somebody or enjoy their company, is when you have shit in common.
Yeah, true.
So, and that makes for not only better conversations, but make you want to follow someone when you strongly believe in it. Because who else to follow than someone you feels your pain, knows what you're going through, knows what's up. Like, oh nah, he comes from the hood like us.
Somebody you identify with.
But that's what makes it a little more disappointing, because when you see him do this, at first I thought maybe he's endorsing Trump for the money, and then I thought about it, was like, when I looked into who he is, I'm thinking, this guy has some money. Does he really need money? Like, I'm pretty sure this had more to do with power or position and less about actual financial gain, because this guy's, he has bestseller books. He tours around the country, maybe even the world, speaking about multiple things. So, I don't think this is a financial thing. Back to that incident that we're talking about, Ben Carson himself wrote in the book saying he had temper issues. He said that allegedly he had an argument with his own mother and picked up a hammer at her. Later on, his own mother said that wasn't true. She had the hammer. And if I had to bet, any black or Spanish mother, she's the one who had the hammer.
Yeah.
And then was the whole incident.
You could add Filipino to that too.
Yeah.
Got that Latin temper. And we got I have a Spanish last name and a Spanish temper.
Yeah, so you got that mixture in there, man.
Yeah, but with egg roll eyes.
So that whole incident with the stabbing was actually about a radio station. Him and his friend disagreeing about a radio station, and he went to try to stab him, and according to him, the knife broke in his friend's belt buckle.
He's got to get a new knife. Like if you're gonna stab somebody, you got to make sure that like like there's a bullet in the chamber or whatever. You're not shooting blanks or whatever. Like this guy what was he using? A Fisher-Price knife?
Yeah, I would love to know what the hell he was using, and I want to know so I don't buy that bread.
That wasn't Swiss Army knife, I'll tell you that.
He said after that he ran home, he locked himself in the bathroom and prayed and read the Bible. I don't know if he was religious prior to that or if that incident made him religious, but when you hear all that, it's like, okay, that sounds crazy. Also, you can identify because if you're from rough neighborhood like me, you know that type of shit happens all the time over nothing. But later on, there's a lot of questions. A lot of people saying, question a lot of these stories that he has. And another story was something about him smashing a kid's head into a locker in his school and everything. And later on, Trump's people went into all of these things and started picking the stories apart.
I think there were even people that said that they don't even remember these type of things happening. Yeah. Like old friends saying like, we always known him as a mild-mannered kind of guy. Yeah. Like he was always a doctor type. Well, I don't know because I don't know him personally. I just know from what I read. And who knows from what you read what is true, because you're hearing two different stories and what's being spun, and you don't know what people or the influences that go into how the story is being told.
The other part is there are a lot of people, and I've had to do this myself, who tone shit down in certain environments. See, now if you put me in a room full of doctors, I might change a little bit the way I'm talking. I might not be as aggressive when I talk. I'm not gonna not be myself, but you gotta tone shit down.
You gotta know your audience a little bit.
So it's not to say that he didn't do that. He might have still had a little bit of that aggression, because I'm gonna say you grow up rough like that, and then if it's true about the whole thing about his father leaving for the reasons he did, it would be hard for me not to believe that he did have some sort of anger issue. I'm from Harlem. I grew up around there. The friends of mine, me myself, I harbored some feelings, but not really upset at my father like that. But I grew up rough like that, so I understand. So if I was to read the story, if he was to tell me the story, I wouldn't have a reason really not to believe it. Especially when you don't know someone, oftentimes you just got to take their word. Now, there are times where you get the vibe. Someone could be telling a story and you get that vibe like, nah, he's full of shit.
Yeah.
And when you showed me the clip, I was laughing at what Trump did. He is a funny, entertaining guy, which I think that's what gets him all the people wanting to vote for him. They're really voting for the entertainment. But we'll get to that. But it's just, this guy's picking your story apart. He's pretty much slapping the shit out of you. And then to later on just turn around and you're going to co-sign him for whatever reason. I can't get it.
I wish my phone is charging. Somebody at work gave me a charger, so my phone is charging. And one thing I want to say is this: I wish I had my phone with me, because I would do some fact checking, because I really don't have all the facts. But off the top of my head, this is what I do know. I do know that Trump and Dr. Ben Carson do have some things in common. Maybe not how they grew up, but where they ended up is a little bit in common. They're public figures with money, with power, definitely. Successful, good at what they do, and also their views are the same. I'm assuming both don't want to have high taxes.
Yeah, they got some money.
Yeah, because they have some money. And another thing is, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure I remember this, that Ben Carson has similar views to Trump on building the wall between Mexico and
fuck out of here.
And sectioning off the United States. That the United States should be separate of everything else, and kind of like, I'm pretty sure. That's why I want to have my phone. I want to check on that one. And I'm pretty sure he wants. I think I've heard this too. And if you're on the other side, go check your cell phones. I'm pretty sure a lot of the racial profiling. I'll give you an example of people with Muslim last names. He wants to send them back to the refugees from Syria. He doesn't want them. So what I'm saying is even though they have different backgrounds, they do have things in common, and where they stand is I think they stand in the same place. They have very similar points of view.
Well, when I listen to a lot of things that even Trump has to say, I don't think he's wrong about a lot of shit. How he's looking to go about it is wrong. If you want to say, because it's happened all through history, maybe not the history books that you actually read in the school, but throughout the years of people coming from other countries coming in, different immigrants, of course you're gonna get some foul people. You're gonna get that. It's that's just what, there's so many of them here already who was born here. It's gonna happen. So if you're saying, you have these people coming, rapists, murderers, all these things, and we don't want them in our country, I'm not against that. I'm against how you're talking about going about it. Now, when you go as far as to start saying that you're gonna you want to exclude people or throw people out, deport people, or any kind of shit like that, based on religion, based on last names, like, where do we draw the line then? Where do we draw the line? Like, as Americans, whether you want to put it just military or government or however you want to put it. For years, you spend time going to other countries setting shit straight because of stuff like that. People being oppressed over the most pettiest shit. What was Hitler? So how could you adapt that same mentality? That's pretty much what that is. How is it different? Why? Because you're not actually killing people, gas chambers and shit like that. That's what you want to say is different, because the way you're going about it isn't far from it. Because what would you have to do to get rid of those kind of people if they're not on your doorstep? You have to round them up. Wasn't Hitler doing shit like that? Wasn't there other dictators doing shit like that? Putting people in camps and all kind of shit till they felt like what was the right thing, the right way to proceed with them after that? How far is it? So we spent how many years and lost how many lives going against that type of shit, and you talking about bringing them right here?
Well, I think that's an indictment of the American people. Like, as you said, like you're disappointed with the American people, and so we're gonna vote somebody in. So we're gonna choose somebody.
Huh? Bless you.
Thanks. I need a lot of blessings. Yeah, I don't want to sneeze on this cool microphone.
This mic is cool.
Yeah, I get to see myself. Yeah. It's like a.
What do you think about that clown that he has with him? That little, I guess, I don't know if you want to call him his little watchdog or whatever. The one who's running around elbowing people.
See, originally I thought you were talking because like for St. Patrick's Day, I thought you had a little leprechaun or something like that. It's Lucky Charms from Austin Powers.
I gotta find this. All right, I just looked into it. The dude's name, the dude who did that little sucker move, is a Trump supporter by the name of John McGraw. And so NBC's Meet the Press, they actually asked Donald Trump if it was possible that they can help with the legal fees for John McGraw. And Trump said, "I've actually instructed my people to look into this. Yes." You a sucker. And see, and not to go left with it, but so now you're encouraging this type of shit. That means it's gonna happen. It's possible that it will happen at other events.
That's what I said. He's inciting a riot.
Yeah. So now, how much of a bitch you look like when you okay with this guy running around doing these sucker little elbows? The guy even later on turned around and said that the next time he might kill the dude. Right? And this was all over the news. You have to.
Yeah.
But they were police on the scene when it just all happened. He wasn't arrested on the spot. He wasn't. So between that and then what I was talking about not going left is the whole stuff that Trump was talking crazy and getting a war of words with El Chapo's son. And I'm pretty sure everyone out there knows who El Chapo is. And he got into a war of words on social media and stuff like that with his son talking crazy. Now you sitting here talking about you gonna pay legal fees for this guy who's running around being a bully, but really a sucker for the way he did it. And so where's all this when you gotta deal with somebody like El Chapo and his people? Because I know that little bitch right there wouldn't have did that in that instance. And even more so, if we flip this around and that black protester would have turned around and do a sucker elbow at this older, because he's an older guy too, he's like in the 60s or some shit, the guy who threw the elbow. Now, if the black protester turn around and does that to him, how you think this goes?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's racist either way.
But right there, the police are on the scene.
Yeah. He's
He's not arrested right there. And he was still talking crazy. In fact, he turned right around and did the interview where he turned around and said, the next time we'll kill him. And there's cops right there. So now, if that black protester would have turned around and did that to him, he's arrested on the spot. On the spot. You don't get a chance to turn around and do a fucking interview about it.
They're making America great again. This is part of the process of becoming great.
Man, so if you want to get into it, I would like to talk about what happened the other day here in the building.
Oh, that's a reverse racism thing. And I just want to say is that I am not black,
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I know. You can't tell on the podcast, I don't know. Well, and I'm going to say this is I've had people that are patrons or customers at this come up to me and say to me, and they say my name and they say, I could tell you love black people. And I do. Did you know that? People come to me and said that?
No, but I know that there are people here who look for you specifically.
Oh, well, I'll tell you something. Yeah, I'll tell you a funny thing that happened. Somebody said to me, I could tell you love black people, and then pointed at one of the black people that works here. And she says, you see that person? I go, yeah. They don't love black people. And I'm like, yeah, and I find that very funny. So anyway, someone, I'm not going to say who because, said to me, I bet you're voting for Trump. I took offense to that. And then they said, Trump says things that you really think, but you're too afraid to say. Well, how do you know what I'm thinking? Like, unless you're a mind reader. And first of all, as far as who I'm voting for at my job, I don't have to tell you who I'm voting for. I have a lot of things to say. I don't have to tell you who I'm voting for. And this is a democratic country. This is a free country where you're free to vote. You're free to choose. I could even tell you I'm not voting for Trump, and then vote for Trump anyway, and still tell you I'm not voting for Trump because it's a free country. I could do that.
Well, hold on. I want to just backtrack. For a second.
But it's none of her business who I'm voting for.
Definitely, and I want you to continue there. But I just want to give everybody a little backstory. And I'll let you get the details of this, but I just want everyone to know this conversation didn't start about politics, though.
Yeah, it started about a piece of furniture, which I'm not going to get into the details of that. About a piece of furniture that I never wanted, that I was being punished for, But whatever, I'm not even going to get into that. But this I will get into is that just that Trump thing. The way I feel is when someone says something like that to me, what they're basically saying is that, you're voting for Trump because you think like Trump, and like they're kind of reading my mind and saying like this, and Trump says things that you're thinking but you don't want to say because you're afraid to say it, but he's saying it so you're going to vote for him. That's we're talking about racism here. Like you're talking about racist type thoughts. Basically, I was called a racist. Without saying you're a racist, I was called a racist. I laughed at it, just a political, but it left a bad taste in my mouth. That I'll say.
I bring up where the conversation started just to point out. I don't know how we go from a conversation about a piece of furniture, or a debate really, because it was a debate about a piece of furniture, and I just don't get how we go from that to the I bet you're voting for Trump. Where the fuck did that even come from? Like, that was equal to the elbow that protester just got. Because where the fuck did it come from?
Well, certain people, when they get in a position of power, think, talking about this, think that they're above the law or above getting in trouble, or they can't be hurt from what And I think that I'm not going to be the one because I'm not doing anything about anything, But I'll laugh and I'll accept whatever happened. But this I will say is, if you start playing games like that down the line, you're gonna get it. And I'll give you an example. Talk about another Trump endorser, Chris Christie. Now, Chris Christie,
little bitch, man.
Yeah, so say similar kind of thing. Like he lost to Trump, and now he's joining the winning side. And I think that there's got to be something in it for him. And one thing I'm going to say is, Christie obviously lost the confidence of his own state. Yeah. That's like it's like you lost home field advantage. It's like a team having home. You should have home field advantage. I think Christie seemed to me in the beginning to be like one of those guys. He gets things done, maybe not the right way, like in a bully's kind of way, but he gets things done. So if you're on his side, he's good to have on your side because he'll get it done. He'll bully his way to getting the way that you agree on done. But I don't think that's good politics. I think that's what was going on over here. It was like a display of power and a little bit of bullying, just to show who's got the power. I was going to say something else, but that's a nice way to put it. Yeah. Just like an assertion of power and like a demonstration of power. And I still have my dignity. I laughed and I smiled. I could stand up straight up, but left a bad taste in my mouth.
I was when we spoke about it, I was a little bit disappointed for two reasons. Number one, it's coming from a black person who had the nerve to even come with that. And the other reason why it bothered me is, again, where did the conversation start from? That ain't have shit to do with nothing. So when you come out and you make a statement like that, you are pretty much calling someone a racist. I could be wrong, but I've never seen you have a conversation like that with this person. For her to even come off with that type of shit.
Yeah.
And then for you to be African American, a black person, especially of her age, knowing that she's seen some shit in her life. I'm trying to understand, like, how do you say that to someone when you would have been in an uproar if someone said some shit like that to you?
Well, I'm going to say that. That's the reason why Chris Christie acts the way he acts, and that's why I guess I could say other politicians, like Cheney was able to do what he did, shoot his lawyer in the face on a hunting trip.
Oh shit! Oh yeah.
That's why he's, you know why? Because he's above the law.
Yeah,
he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about, like, what if somebody, like anybody else who shoots somebody in the face on a hunting trip on their property?
How they call a diplomatic immunity type shit.
It was just an accident, guys. And the thing is like the reason you're going, oh yeah, you know why? Because it was never even publicized afterwards, because they control the media too. So not only did he get off, but he made sure that it didn't have any legs. Like people weren't debating about it or talking about it or questioning it. It was something that they couldn't deny that it happened, but then it died. Imagine you're saying, like, imagine it happens in a different situation with different characters, or the other way around.
Well, I can honestly say, from a few years ago, I liked Christie from how he was handling Sandy's situation. I would see him not just in the news. I have family in Jersey who were affected by the what I saw on TV, and from what I've known from talking with my people in Jersey and all of that, was also how he handled a lot of things. A lot of people really liked him and really loved him for the way he was handling the stuff over there. It was like you were saying before, it's like he was getting shit done. Then came that whole bridge scandal shit, which I'm still not clear on the details, so I won't really speak on it, but they had a whole scandal over that.
I'm going to tell you this, is like, whenever there's a disaster, these politicians, this is their chance to shine, Like when 9/11 happened, like Giuliani looked like a hero, and from what I remember, his popularity wasn't so great until he showed his leadership skills during 9/11.
Listen, man, Giuliani is built off of John Gotti. For those who don't know that, you can Google this, you can look into it. Giuliani was a lawyer,
DA. Attorney General.
Yeah, he was going hard after John Gotti. That's what made him. He got his seat as the mayor off of that. That's what that was.
He got the Teflon Don who couldn't be touched.
Yeah,
you got him.
But technically he did. Sammy the Bull gave them everything. Without Sammy the Bull, they wouldn't have shit. I mean, that's a whole other story. But bottom line, that's who Giuliani is. Giuliani is the guy who, gets all the good stuff from the John Gotti situation. Other than that, he's only known as the guy who's always front row at the Yankee games. You know what I'm saying? What else do you know this dude from? And I have a lot of reasons not to like him, man. He did a lot of shit out here in New York during his time that just helped to keep minorities in jail on some other shit. But again, that's a whole other conversation.
But you know what I have to say one thing, J Legend. Before we go, it's like I got like actually 1 minute. I want to say thank you for having me. Talking about know your audience. I don't even know who the audience is. Who is this? Who are you guys that are even listening to me? Who even cares about what we're talking about? That's number one. And number two is talking about this cool microphone. I'm going to use this for my project in a second. Well, I don't know about in a second, but later on. Yeah. So,
it's available for use.
Yeah, you can start renting out equipment. I can't afford it.
Alright, as always, y'all, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. You can talk shit about the Filipino Flash, and I'll tell them.
That's when I'm walking out the room. You can talk.
Now, before we go into the next part of the podcast, I want to congratulate Sosa the Third Siders on another dope release. He has his new release is called 80s Born, 90s Raised. And you can find that on thatpiff.com. You can find other projects that the Third Siders have put out on thatpiff.com. The single that is out now, and so is the video, is called Never Sleep. I love this song. We're going to play a clip here on the podcast, but if you want to listen to the song in its entirety, go to thatpiff.com, type in Third Siders, and look for 80s Born, 90s Raised, which is the name of the project, and the song is Never Sleep. So here's this dope clip. I hope you like it. Check out the rest of that project.
Always hated by the ops, as I'm taking for the top. See these niggas looking shaky like they Michael J. Fox. What? Do they all job? The question for the evening, red dots and dreadlocks. Split your wig like the weekend. You more want the reason, and tone down your voice. Run with us, run from us, nothing else is a choice. Starve nights, get my hunger up, so I got my hustle up. Added all the numbers up, now I'm good, fuckers up. Say that fake love too, please nigga trust who? It's my time, no lie, shit is just due. Facts, always Harlem, you can see it when I struck through. You just a body like these hoes a nigga cut loose. Same shit, every day, just a date change. Long nose and I ain't talking about a face change. Have your bitches tighten up like your waist train. Schooling niggas, you would think I teach 8th grade. If anything, nothing else would get put over bread. When it comes to the grind, a nigga steps be ahead. I never sleep, I plan to rest when I'm dead. Body shots, take him down, put the rest in his head. I never sleep, no, I never sleep. I never sleep, no, I never sleep. I never sleep, I plan to rest when I'm dead. Body shots, take him down, put the rest in his head.
Make sure you follow me on Instagram, JLEGEND100, on Twitter, JLEGEND100. Subscribe, comment, let us know what you think. The art and intro and outro was done by Sosa the Third Siders. Holla at them for your art production needs. We out of here.